Hi, my name is Russell Lewis, and you are listening to Catholic versus Atheist.
So just tell us a little bit about yourself, if you would, please. Who you are, what you believe, and how you came to believe.
Sure. So I'm originally from the UK. I live in Montreal, Canada right now. This is how I met you, David. And I've been here for 10 years now. I met a girl, I met another girl, and then I met another girl, and that's what eventually ended up with me being here. I'm atheist. I don't believe in technically anything, as opposed to your belief where you definitely do believe in something.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about your childhood? When were you first introduced to the idea that some other people do believe in God and they have religion?
In the UK, there's the Church of England, and my mother is definitely a believer. She eventually moved to the US, like down in Tampa, and she married a guy, and they're now part of the church, and a lot of her life is part of the church.
Church of England?
No, it's not England, because it's in Tampa. So it's the
Church of Tampa.
Church of Tampa. It's the what's that one where they have like lots of like clapping and all that sort of stuff down there?
Evangelical?
I think it's evangelical, but like it's the one where like there's a big band behind them and they clap a lot and they sing a lot, and it's all very fun, as opposed to the way I kind of see the normal church, which is quite dry. Like, you know, there's my mum, whenever I go and see her, she's always like, you should come to the church, you should come visit us and see what we're doing. And every time I go down there, it's like, I will do that if you don't go at 6 a.m. She always goes at 6 a.m. and it never really works for us. So back when I was a younger man, we would go to the Church of England church, and she would take me there, and it was nice. And like, you know, we would go every Sunday morning, and I can only remember bits of it. But I remember there was a point where I decided I didn't want to have to go anymore. And she was okay with that. And she said, okay, fine, you've made your choice. You don't have to go anymore. And I stopped going. And it was kind of weird. Like, whenever there was like a church ceremony afterwards, I always felt a little bit uncomfortable going into a church. I think I'd made in my mind this decision that I didn't want to be associated with this. So I didn't go anymore.
When you were very young, were there prayers at mealtime or before bed? Do you remember any of that?
Not really. My dad accepted my mother's beliefs, but never tried to impose on his kids. So when it came to mealtime, the food was served and you ate. I had 2 older brothers. Like, if I stopped to pray, the food will all be gone, right? So we decided not to observe any of those customs, because if I did, I would just get whatever no one else wanted.
You could always pray afterwards, thank God that I managed to
You could, but like, you know, afterwards I've got a full stomach and I just want to go and play computer games. That's the sort of guy I was.
Did you have any sort of philosophical impulses as a teenager?
My teenage years was a little obscure. In terms of thinking about God or thinking about like the religious side of things, it never really entered my mind, because why would it? I was too busy having fun, right? And especially after my mother had given me the opportunity to not have to think about it anymore.
Other than me, have you met anyone that went from atheist to theist?
Now, David, you're quite a unique person when it comes to this. Like, you know, I remember when I first met you, and I don't know how much you've talked about this in the past, but you were the least likely person I was expecting to go down this path. You seem smarter than that. And I still think you are a very smart, very nice, very friendly, humane, good person. Tremendously so. But like, for me, when it comes to religion, I always assumed it was going to be something that people fell into that had no other option. But your life was okay. I mean, it seemed to be, to me at least. You've always been like a very, very soft thing to throw jokes at, because you'll never like attack back, and you'll always like be friendly and accepting of everything I do, and it makes it really hard to be mean. So I've always struggled, and I've always respected that about your beliefs as well.
Yeah. Just to address what you said, I mean, there's a key component to conversion, which is recognizing that you are desperate. You're desperately in need of a savior. That did happen to me. If you haven't seen that desperation in yourself yet, it's just a matter of time until you see it. Hopefully it won't be too late when you do see it, but a lot of people tend to live on the surface and just live from pleasure to pleasure, and then they never need to feel that desperation, but I think it's always there.
When I see someone go into it, like, I'm always assuming it's like, why would they do that? What's there for them? Because I mean, you may think God speaks to you, but in my personal opinion, I just think that you think that God speaks to you, right? Like,
There's a strong intellectual component to monotheism, and in particular Catholicism, that forces the thinking person, the person that actually thinks about fundamental questions of ontology and epistemology, it forces that thinking person to accept the existence of God and to see how desperate we are. And there are many atheists that I've talked to that I've shown the intellectual proofs of God's existence, and they still don't see it.
Can you tell me about that?
Sure. The proof that I like to use is the uncaused first cause. So every natural effect has a cause. If you follow that chain of cause and effect back to the beginning...
So you're talking about the Big Bang?
Yeah, the Big Bang, or any other weird variation on the Big Bang, like multiverses, bubble universes, and these sorts of things. Mm-hmm. Every universe needs a beginning. So if we go back in the chain of cause and effect, we have necessarily a first cause, which is necessarily supernatural. It's not natural, it's supernatural, because if it's a natural cause, then we just need to ask, well, what caused that natural cause? So we need a supernatural first cause. That's my God. You are forced by logic to acknowledge my God if you're honest with yourself and you look at the first cause argument. Okay. We'll move on to other topics.
Okay.
Maybe we should talk about the pro-life movement. Are you pro-life?
Sure. I'm pro-choice, completely.
Okay. What's your reasoning?
What's your reasoning?
My reasoning is that there's a hierarchy of rights, and the right to choice depends necessarily and logically on your right to exist. If you don't exist, you have no choice. So you need to live before you choose. So if you kill the person in the womb, you've removed their life and their right to choose. So their right to life has been violated, and by doing that, you've denied them the right to choice, the right to liberty, the right to private property. All the other rights depend on the right to life.
Isn't that not the argument that they're not sentient at that point? Until they become conscious. If I'm asleep, am I sentient?
When you're asleep, I can kill you?
No, because I once was not asleep. When the sperm gets into the egg, it does not make you alive. That just means that the sperm's entered the egg. It takes a few more months before you become a thing. Like, if you take whatever's in the womb out of the womb, anywhere up to like 7 months before, that thing's gonna die.
No, but you'll die outside the womb of the Earth's atmosphere too, right? We can't just take you out into outer
space. What's that got to do with anything?
Well, everything has a dependency on certain conditions for life. But let me ask you a simple question. If you're a farmer and you've planted a bunch of seeds under the earth,
okay,
and I go and I kill each and every one of those seeds, and you say, hey, you killed my apple trees. I say, no, I didn't. I just killed potential apple trees because they hadn't fulfilled their potential to be apple trees. They haven't sprouted and they haven't produced any fruit and they can't survive in the sunshine.
Okay.
You'd still be angry. You'd say, look, you killed my trees because they're potential trees, those seeds. So it's the same thing with a human being.
That's because it's livelihood. For me, when it comes to abortion, okay, put it this way. There's a lot of people in this world who shouldn't be parents. The opportunity for a life should be based on the opportunity they're going to get when they get out of the womb.
Quality of life.
Yeah, because, if you have a junkie who's going to end up killing themselves in 2 years' time because they're having a bad time, should those people have children? In your view, it seems like they possibly should, even though that child is going to have a destructive life. And I always find it very interesting when it comes to the Catholic view of childhood. Okay, so we're going to protect the rights of humans, but as soon as they come out of the womb, by golly, we do not care about them anymore, right? It's like you carry that child through.
What makes you think that the church doesn't care about poor people?
I think that people like you do. I don't necessarily think that the church as a whole does. There's a reason why I like you, even though you have your views, because I think they're true, and I think your beliefs are true. But when it comes to the Catholic Church, I think they're flawed, tremendously flawed, and it makes it really hard for me to respect them.
Mm. So, what do you think about human sexuality? What is the point and purpose of human sexuality?
I mean, in your view, I'm guessing it's related to procreation. In my view, it's related to enjoying life. It's one of life's experiences. Sex gives someone the option of, having a nice moment.
How long does the high last, or the happiness or the contentment last?
I mean, like, I don't know if your podcast is related to this, but as soon as you come, you have about minutes of like depression and like self-regret, and then you're fine again, because that's the hormones released into your body. You have that thing go on.
Have you ever said no to sex and
Yes.
an offer for sex? Yes.
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's always a choice. So like, just because I'm a dude doesn't mean I don't have the opportunity to be able to say no.
Yeah. So what do you think about the family, the idea of one man, one woman raising children in a stable situation? Do you think that's good for society?
I think what's good for society is a stable environment. Doesn't matter whether it's 2 men, 2 women, or a man and a woman. As long as like the child has a stable environment where it can develop naturally. I just want a child to have a good upbringing, a happy one, a loving one where the child is nurtured, they're looked after. That's what I'm looking for.
If everything else is equal, like the same amount of love and care and affection and goodness and support and everything, if everything else is equal in all those regards, and the only difference is that you have the 2 natural biological parents versus same-sex parents, do you think that one is better than the other?
No. I think 2 loving parents is 2 loving parents.
And that added fact of having them being the 2 biological parents doesn't add anything. Doesn't add anything.
If they're biological, great. If they don't have the option of being biological, then that's fine as well.
Okay.
Two loving people,
Yeah.
giving you the best opportunity they have in life,
Yeah.
and giving you everything.
Given all of that love and support and goodness, I think it's very obvious that it's better to have your parents be your biological parents. All other
Of
things
course.
being equal.
No, all things being equal, yes, I agree.
Okay.
If they're the biological one, that's the best option. Because it makes it easier on the child as well.
Yeah.
But, God, if it's an option between that and anything else, give it to loving people who will look after their child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've talked about life, but what about death? What is the best case scenario for you at death? What are you expecting? What are you hoping for? What's the best case scenario?
I am hoping for it to be painless and surrounded by people I love.
Okay, but then what after you die?
There is nothing after I die.
You're confident about that?
Listen, like, if there is, that's great. But like, I'm not.
It might not be great though. That's the problem.
For me, I'm not worried about it because I don't believe it's true. So let's imagine for 1 second that like the afterlife is true. So you end up in heaven, and you have the same body.
No, it'll be a glorified body. There's no suffering, there's no illness, there's no injustice, there's no ugliness. It's all good.
Do you honestly believe that?
Yeah.
For me, that sounds ridiculous.
Because everything that you love about your life, everything that you can talk about that you value and love about your life, whether it's pleasure, whether it's food, sex, drugs, rock and roll, whatever it is, it's all in God. God's the source of all of that, and it's
But why does God have to be the source of that? Like, I can touch, I can feel you right now, right?
Yeah.
That's the thing. This here is a thing.
Yeah.
Whereas like everything you talk about isn't a thing.
It comes back to the principle that an effect cannot be greater than its cause. So the reason I started this interview by talking about the first cause, the uncaused cause, he is the source of every perfection. And every good that you appreciate
Why is
here.
he that? Why does he have to be that? Like, why?
Because of cause and effect. Because an effect cannot be greater than its cause.
Apart from belief, what effect has God had?
The universe, the physical universe. If you believe in science, if you believe in cause and effect, then every state of affairs is the logical consequence of the previous state of affairs, and so on back to the beginning. And we know there's a first cause, and we know that that first cause necessarily is supernatural, and we know that that first cause is necessarily infinite in every perfection, because an effect cannot be more perfect or greater than its cause.
But David, with respect, that doesn't really mean much. Like, when it comes to
deny it is to say that an effect can be greater than its cause, which is completely absurd. You're undermining natural science by saying that. God is necessary. He's the only necessary being, and he's the source of every perfection, and he's infinite in every perfection, and he's identical with all of his attributes. He is justice, he is love, he is goodness, he is beauty.
What defines God?
God is the being whose essence is existence. That means he is
Why?
self-existent.
Why?
Because we need a first cause that is self-existent.
I don't. Why do you need
do.
it? No, I don't.
If you're rational, and you think about cause and
Are
effect...
we purely talking about the Big Bang here? Like, so... Like,
even if the Big Bang Theory is wrong, and it might be, whatever possible universe we live in, physical universe...
Right.
If the coefficient of expansion is greater than 0... things go from order to disorder naturally, spontaneously. Disorder is more probable than order. So when you clean up your apartment, you're going from disorder to order, but that takes work, that takes energy, and eventually you're going to lose that battle. Like, you will decay and you will fall apart, and your house, unless someone else comes in and does reverse entropy on it, it's going to go towards entropy. It's going to get messier spontaneously. It takes work to reverse the entropy. Entropy is going to bring our universe to a heat death.
Yeah, fine, but that's got nothing to do with God.
Sure it does.
How?
This is a universe where entropy is the case, and entropy is the case, therefore the expansion coefficient is greater than 0.
Dude, you're using big words, but like same time...
Basically, it's hard science. If you look at the hard science of cosmology, you will understand that there is necessarily a beginning to the universe, no matter what configuration the universe has, even if the Big Bang is not.
I agree with you. There's a beginning.
And in order for that beginning to have its genesis, so to speak, to have its beginning, we need a cause which is in and of itself not material, not physical, not contingent. It has to be absolutely sovereign and spiritual. And it has to be infinite in every perfection.
It does not have to be spiritual. We don't know.
Let's say that you're right, and there are only natural causes which are material.
Okay.
That first natural cause, what caused it? You're stuck.
We don't know.
No, we do know, logically. Can something come from nothing? The answer is no. We know that with certainty.
No, we do not know what was before the beginning.
Well, there's nothing before in time, but logically prior...
No, we don't know that. And let's be honest here, there is no logical proof. Like, I'm logical. My entire existence is based on logic. My job is based on logic. And there is no logical...
Let's talk about free will, do you mind? Because this will test your claim that you're a very logical person. Do you believe that you are free, that you have free will to make free choices, yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, so when you make those free choices, is it violating the natural laws of, say, physics, chemistry, biology, or any other natural science?
No.
So everything's determined. Every choice you make is determined. So you're fully determined.
No,
so where's the freedom?
Why can't I just make a choice and the choice
What caused the choice?
Why does it have to be a cause of a choice?
Well, do you believe in natural cause and effect, yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, so there's a cause for every choice you make. Do you believe that the choices you make are caused or uncaused?
I don't know.
Where is the choice being made? Is it being made in your mind?
Yeah, I guess.
And where does the mind reside? Does it reside in your brain, in your nervous system?
Yes, up here, buddy. Like yours. Your choice is right up there in your chromical.
Does it involve the biological and chemical components in your brain and your nervous system?
As far as I'm aware, yeah.
Okay. So are those caused or uncaused events that are making your choice for you?
They're neither. They are your brain making logical choices based on whatever's put in and whatever it has there.
And do those choices violate the laws of nature, yes or no?
I should hope not.
If you're honest with yourself, you will realize that either you live in a deterministic, atheistic universe, or there's the supernatural, which allows you to make.
But why does there have to be a supernatural?
Because if it's natural, then either it's completely determined because it follows and obeys the natural laws,
right?
Or if a natural effect does not have a natural cause, you've undermined science, period. If you're a materialist, and if you believe in cause and effect, and you believe in science, and you respect the scientific method, then you know that when something happens, the scientist won't just say, there's no reason for that. There's always a sufficient reason. This is the principle of sufficient reason.
Scientists don't often know what the reason is. They just hope that it can be proven again. There's a bunch of stuff where scientists will prove something.
Do you know the difference between knowing something in detail and knowing in principle? For example, do you know how many grains of sand are on planet Earth? Yes or no?
Yeah.
No, you don't. But you do know that there's a certain number of grains of sand on Earth, depending on the definition of what a grain of sand is, right? There's a distinction to be made between knowing all the facts about the grains of sand on Earth and just acknowledging the fact that there are grains of sand on Earth.
Yeah, but it doesn't necessarily make you believe that God exists.
No.
It's like, this spiritual, spaghetti monster. And so you believe in spaghetti monster?
If he's infinite in every perfection and he's pure spirit and he's pure actuality.
Does that not necessarily mean that you're just believing in anything?
No.
If you believe that a spaghetti monster exists, dude, it's made up to mock a religion.
No, but
like,
only if the spaghetti monster corresponds exactly with all the attributes of my God. If he doesn't, then it's different, right? Is it material? If so, it's not God. Is it finite? If so, it's not God. Is it made out of spaghetti? If so, it's not God. You know?
Okay, Dave.
So, listen.
That's very fun, by the way.
Yeah.
All right, let's finish this
So
off.
we've had fun, but at the end of my interviews, I always ask my guests just to talk directly to the audience.
Okay.
What would you say to anyone that might be out there listening right now?
You know, I am not religious. I don't believe in God. But at the same time, I don't dislike people who do believe in God. I actually kind of respect and feel kind of a little bit jealous of people who do. It's kind of nice to think that, you know, maybe there is, like, once you die, you move on to heaven, or once you die, you get to do something better. I don't have that, which is a little bit sad sometimes for me. But at the same time, I've kind of learned to accept that. So, in terms of my message to people, like, you know, so you have a problem, you need to find someone who will talk to you and listen to your problems and help you through that. It may be through religion, it may be through something else, but going to church is not going to fix your issues. Full stop.
If you like your worldview, if you think it's swell, if you got some questions, ask me and I'll tell. All you got to do is ask. All you got to do is ask.